So, with the recent movie Deadpool and Wolverine releasing, I wanted to talk a bit about video games and how factors like this movie releasing can really increase the price quite drastically in some of these games. A good example is here right now is X-Men Origins Wolverine. This game has seen a bit of a bump in price, but not quite as much as Deadpool, and I'll show that off here in a little bit using pricecharting.com, which is a great tool to track the prices of video games over the years. And I also want to talk about some other games that I think may increase in price or already have, just to kind of prove the point. Video games are sort of like stocks in a way, in that they move with sometimes not really the market, but just outside factors. Like I said, the movies. Movies are probably the biggest thing. Other things would be other video games in the series coming out. A good example here is Silent Hill 2. There's going to be a remake of this that's about to release here in October, and this one has already seen a slight increase in price. And I'm sure when that remake comes out, depending on how good it is, if it's not very good, then people are going to be like, oh, it's not as good as the original. Go buy the original, in which case this one is going to fly up in price. Also, to go back to Wolverine, there's a new game being released by Insomniac probably in about 2 years. And just with the leak that happened this January 2024, we saw a big price increase of this from like $50 all the way up to about 80. And like I said, with the movie, it just increased even more. And wait till I show off the Deadpool. I mean, that game has just gone out the insane. Another good example is when the Sonic movie came out, the first one and the second one. So a lot of the classic Sonic games saw an increase in price as well. If you go and check out price charting, just go to the different ones, and you go to April of 2022, I believe, when Sonic 2 came out, the movie. Oh man, all these games kind of flew up in price by like sometimes double, but not quite that much. It just depends which game it is. In Sonic's case, there's just an absolute plethora of these games out there. So depending on which one's which, here's another example: Sonic Lost World. One may go up more than the other. And I'm certain that when a new Spider-Man movie comes out, a lot of the PlayStation 3 Spider-Man games, again, this is another example where there's quite a few games in the series, but when when a new Spider-Man movie inevitably comes out, these always see a big price increase. But because there's such a large amount of these games, it's not going to be quite as much as something like that Wolverine or that Deadpool game. Like Deadpool is a great example because there's only one Deadpool game as far as I know. So that's pretty cool. And here's the one that I think will go up in price. This is already like about a $50 game or so. And if they ever make a Simpsons movie, number 2, which we got a Simpsons movie back in like maybe 2005 or so, if we see a sequel, which if you've watched to the end of that movie, to the end of the credits, Maggie, the little baby, comes up and says sequel. And we haven't had a sequel, so I guarantee when that comes out, this is probably one of the better Simpsons games out there, along with Simpsons Hit and Run. I guarantee both of those are probably going to see a pretty solid price increase. And this is just a great game, by the way, if you haven't played it, because it's like a parody on video games, and it really has that Simpsons humor, and I can't recommend this one enough. I would go with the Xbox 360/PS3 version, as those seem to be the superior versions. Another good example, but not quite as much because this is a newer game, but when The Last of Us HBO series comes out, probably in late 2025, we'll probably see a lot of hype around these. We already saw that not only this one, but Part 1, or they called it Part 1, both received PS5 releases, and the first Last of Us game has already seen a re-release on the PlayStation 4 with upgraded graphics, and then they put it on the PS5 as well and upgrade the graphics even further. So, maybe the third game will come out or it'll get announced around that time, and you'll just see the hype go up. But because these are still newer games, probably not such a huge price increase. Same thing with Uncharted. We had an Uncharted movie. I don't think that one really threw up the price because, again, these games aren't quite as hard to find, and it's pretty easy to get these on like the PlayStation Store. So as you can see here, the PlayStation 3 X-Men Origins Wolverine has jumped since that leak back in sort of near the end of 2023 and into the 2024. It shot the price up by a good $30 on this one. And then if you go take a look at Deadpool, here's the PlayStation 4 version. This one really took a hike up. It was about $50 last October or about this time last year. And now just over the past month, actually, it's jumped up all the way to 127, and that's for a complete copy. And then here's Silent Hill 2. You can see this one hasn't changed a ton, but it's been sitting about, like, since 2022, 2023, it's been about $120, and it's gone up to about 140, so just a bit of change on this one. But I'm sure when that game actually comes out, that remake, it might jump up even higher. And then here's the Simpsons game, and I have some serious bets that when that movie does get announced, that this will get a price shot, and then when it actually releases, the same thing will probably happen again. I don't know how much higher it'll get, but this, like I said, is a pretty good one. And then there's Sonic Adventure here. You can see the movie came out right here in April of 2022. So you can see just in March, 2 months prior, it was about $43, jumped all the way up to near 75. And then Uncharted, this is like I was saying, because it's newer. This one really hasn't seen a price increase. I believe that movie came out in February 21 or 22. I can't quite remember, but as you can see, this one, because it's readily available on the PlayStation Store, and if you have I believe the mid-tier PlayStation subscription, it's included, so kind of makes sense. Anyhow, let me know your thoughts on video game prices and how they track with movies, and appreciate you watching.
I have not seen my native land in so long.